Now, the Union Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas, Hardeep Singh Puri, who is currently on a visit to the United States, has said that India will buy crude oil from whichever country it wants and that New Delhi faces no pressure from Washington to cut its energy buys from Russia. Let's listen in.
Look, let me make it very clear. India will buy oil from wherever it has to for the simple reason that this kind of a discussion cannot be taken to the consuming population of India. I mean, just imagine what has happened, the kind of dislocation and chaos you have in some countries. I don't want to list any, but let's say in India's vicinity, where for the love of money, there is no energy. And we have ourselves, in one particular case, extended assistance up to $4 billion, and a lot of that is in energy. So we have a moral duty to supply to our listening.
Now I'm crossing over to our foreign affairs correspondent Abhishek Jha to tell us more about this. Abhishek, this is also in line with what our external affairs minister Jaishankar had said last month in August about how we have a country with a per capita income of $2,000. Now we also have Hardeep Singh Puri echoing those lines. Tell us more about the significance of this statement.
So in the recent times, when in the wake of that Russia-Ukraine conflict, we have seen how the global crude oil prices have been volatile. And there has been a lot of pressure on India from the Western countries and USA to not buy oil from the sources that are apparently unfriendly countries to Western bloc. However, India has tried to portray its own stand as to it has to feed the energy demand of 130 crore people back home, and for that it needs to buy cheaper oil because that's part of the major economic activity. And this is the same line that Hardeep Singh Puri is also trying to explain, that it's not just the availability of oil that is being squeezed in the international market, but also the price that at which India can buy oil that will decide and determine India's source of purchasing crude oil. And in the past, we have seen Russian oil coming to India. We are also now, since this OPEC group has also cut down production by 2%, so probably more fluctuation in the international crude oil prices will be seen in the days to come. And accordingly, India will put its policy as to from where the sourcing of oil will happen, and it will not be going down to any pressure or any threat of sanctions from any countries. It will rather pursue its energy security interest, keeping in mind the economic condition of its own country and the interests of 130 crore people.
Absolutely. Very strong stance as well. And essentially, to give us a more holistic view of this entire situation, can you explain, in connection to Russia, why India has to maintain a balancing act?
So initially, it was like a bloc divide that was probably almost the NATO allies, and Russia was on the one side. And both sides tried to bring India on their fold. However, India maintained a stand of neutrality and always maintained that cessation of hostilities should be the first on agenda. And any resolution of this conflict can only happen through dialogue and diplomacy. And gradually, the world recognized the fact that India's stand was probably right. And now, every time all the world leaders are trying to say this line only, that dialogue and diplomacy could be the only way forward, and there can not be a military solution for this thing. Countries also tried to pressurize India not to buy oil from Russia, but at the time when the global crude oil prices were hovering somewhere around $100 per barrel, it was not a choice that India could not make to buy oil which was coming from Russia at some $17, $80 per barrel. And this was keeping in mind the interest of India's long-term energy security interest as well, because under the U.S. sanctions, the oil from Venezuela was not coming in the international market. Oil from Iran is something that is not coming into the international market. In fact, Iran, which used to be India's one of the top supplier of crude oil, about 10% almost until 2 years ago, India has almost decreased the oil import from Iran to a negligible level. So in this context, like every time there will be a sanction or threat of sanction on a particular country and India stop buying oil from that destination, it will not be a very prudent decision for Indian economy, and probably the security or the energy security interests of India will be compromised. And this time, India did not succumb to the Western pressure, and finally the Western bloc and the USA has now accepted and understood why India did this and why India continued to buy oil from Russia.
Absolutely. Abhishek, thank you so much for giving us all of that important information.